the Women in Business podcast. Insights from top financial professionals. Strategies to grow your practice. The future is female. It all begins here.
Hello, and welcome to the Gradient Women in Business podcast. I'm Jaclyn Gladhill, media strategist and co-host with Luson Media, and with me today is Janet Pack, a financial service professional who is coming up on 40 years in a senior financial services business. She has experienced every aspect of the senior finance experience, born and raised in Washington State, and has been a top producer her entire career. Welcome, Janet Pack. How are you today, Janet?
I am great. It is summer and it's sunny outside. I could not be better.
Absolutely. I'm getting a little bit sunburnt here, but it's been good. It's been good.
Good.
And so before we dive into today's topic on building advisors' success, I'd love for our listeners to get to know you a little bit better. So can you tell us a little bit, about the scope of your practice?
Okay. So we work with 55 and better, right? It's not how old you are, it's how young you are. And we have a holistic approach to retirement. So we work with protecting income, estates, assets. Really, it's a transition planning. When people retire, they unhook from their paycheck. So our goal is to try to replace that paycheck with a lifestyle and make them ease into retirement.
Yes. I love that. The holistic approach is fantastic. So what habits or practices have contributed to your success?
Of course, a work ethic of grit. You have to work. When you first start out in the business, you own the business. Nobody's going to pay you, so you have to work harder. And being a woman in this business, I've had to work extra hard because you get a lot of doubts being a woman. And I always say I do the things unsuccessful people won't do or can't do. And we can all work hard. So that's an always can do.
Yeah, I love that. Great attitude. Just when you're starting a business, especially, you are absolutely right. So are there any past mistakes that turned out to be valuable learning experiences?
Ooh, 40 years later, my goodness, yes. I would have to say working on marketing that isn't effective. Focusing time on things that don't increase the bottom line. ROI is not the same. Hiring people has been a big learning curve for me. And I've learned a lot about hiring people, putting in goals and plans. And so that's been a real overcoming for me, which I think I've overcome. So my hiring skills have improved dramatically.
Woohoo! That's fantastic. So what do you think is the biggest trend or innovation in your field right now? And how are you responding to it?
I think probably the biggest thing is income. Most people have a bucket of money. They don't have a plan. So when they come to us, we're giving them a plan, which most advisors don't do. So I think the big piece is that income piece and safety. And we need to cover the what ifs. We call them landmines. Moving forward in retirement, there can be things that can derail your retirement. So we have to be very careful to educate and to make the client understand that there are landmines that can derail their retirement. And so through that education, that's probably the best point.
Yeah, very well put. So, Janet, you were asked to be on the show today because of your knowledge related to building a successful planning business. So, what are the 3 things you want to cover for our listeners, other female financial professionals, related to building this business?
That's a great question. I think you have to have faith in your hiring, and you've got to hire. I like women. You need to hire women who have a good level of education, are motivated. Um, I think that that's been a big change for me, is looking for people who are ready to grow and create a career instead of just having a job.
Mhm.
Um, it took me a long time to learn to build a business, not just a producer. I've always been a top producer, very proud of my production. I have enough awards to fill a room, but that really doesn't, that's not, that's not creating a business that's sellable. So I think the most important thing is to build your business. I think
Mhm.
another piece that I've learned a lot about is refer business out that doesn't serve you. From 1986 to now, I have done everything in this business, from Medicare to funeral plans, long-term care, you name it, I've done it. And I think one of the big lessons is referring that business out that doesn't serve you. Medicare, burial plans, those are things that really don't increase the bottom line. So by referring those out or giving those to another agent, I think that's an important piece that helps you.
Yeah, and accepting that too.
Mhm.
Realizing and accepting that.
Mhm. I think top producers are great at producing, but it wasn't until I got my Series 65 that I really started to build my AUM and realized that I had a valuable, saleable business. And it's given me a great peace of mind moving forward, to know that I'm not just producing, but I'm building a business that can be sold.
Yeah, great point. I love that you got your when did you get your Series 65? Do you remember?
I think it was about 7 years ago. It's been a
Okay.
while. Yeah, it's been a
And it
while.
it instantly changed your business, or do you think it was over time?
Great question. Um, that's a battle. That test is a tough one, right? And I don't think you really understand, being an insurance producer, what that means. I don't think we understand as insurance professionals what that means to have that securities license. And it takes a while to retrain your brain, especially if you're an
Mhm.
annuity salesperson. And I was a top producing annuity rep forever. And so you have to kind of retrain your brain, learn new products, learn new ways to talk. So constantly learning, constantly getting better, constantly moving forward.
Yeah, I love that. I love that a lot, actually.
So I think another point is, I always say you can't serve two masters. And so if you're trying to do everything, if you're trying to do the long-term care, the Medicare sub, the burial, your AUM, your MIGAs, your income producing annuities, your safety annuities. If you're trying to do all of that and be all that you can be, I think it's damaging. I think you need to isolate yourself down so that you're just focused. I know I've made a lot of people a lot of money in this business, referring out my estate planning, referring out my Medicare subs. And I find people that are going to refer business back to me. And that's been a really, really good rational for me, because when you try to spread yourself too thin, you're not as effective as if you dial that, we call it the focus, we call it the camera. When you take a camera and you focus that in, you're much clearer, you're much better. But if you got a wide lens and it's not focused, it's difficult to really zero in on what you're trying to do. So if you're going to do Medicare subs, do Medicare subs. If you're going to do burials, do burials. But in our industry, if you can do the annuity cap and the AUM cap, that's where your real fast speed building is going to come from.
Yeah, absolutely. You're becoming an expert rather than just knowing multiple subjects. You're becoming an expert at one. So I love
Exactly. Yep.
And so, with that being said, I mean, how do you continue to educate yourself, and when do you find time to do this?
That's a great question too. Um, there's right brain and left brain. And so, that right brain, when we're selling and having fun, that's not the brain that's going to feed us that education. And so I always like that story about the two guys that were chopping wood, and they both chopped the same amount the same day. And one guy always took off for lunch and went home. But the guy that took off and went home for lunch always chopped more wood. And so the guy that didn't go home for lunch was frustrated. And he said, "Hey, hey, hey, you need to tell me, how is it that you go home for lunch every day and you chop wood, more wood than I do?"
Mhm.
And he said, well, I go home and sharpen my saw. So honestly, if you don't take that time, that left brain, if you don't take that time to sharpen that saw, you're not going to be as effective. You're going to be more frustrated. So in my world, I have to allocate time. I've always struggled with trying to position myself to get that feed time in. And so I've learned that I actually take my phone and I set a timer for 30 minutes. And I have stacks of books, right? There's lots of things that we're trying to read. And so that 30 minutes in the morning and that 30 minutes at night gives me that disciplined time to work on my brain, to work on my motivation. I just read Atomic Habits, which was amazing. Energy Bus was awesome. I actually got extra copies for my office staff. I don't know if you've read the Energy Bus or not.
I have not, but tell me more about it.
I'll tell you, any office that you work in, the Energy Bus is, and I've had this book for years. People said, oh, you got to read this book, got to read this book. And I was like, okay, I'll get to it. And it is an amazing book about attitude, about teamwork, and it's put in a setting that you can't put the book down. It's a small paperback, but I really, really stress if anybody's in an office, Energy Bus, yellow book, Energy Bus, you got to read it. It's amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, even you said kind of, you always have to be a student. And I love that. You always, reading is knowledge. So I completely understand that. And you said 30-minute increments is what you do?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any other resources that you want to recommend for our listeners?
Well, I have been a student of sales, motivation, goal setting for a long, long time. In fact, before I got in the financial services business, I sold motivation programs and sales programs for a company called SMI, Paul J. Meyer, Success Motivation Institute. I mean, that was like way long time ago. But I realized that when I first got in this business, no one was going to train me how to do it. And when I first got in this business, we sold in homes. We traveled all over and sold in homes. And I remember I had a book in my car, and after every appointment, I would sit down with my book and I would write down what I did right and what I did wrong. And then before I went to the next appointment, I would look in the book and see what I did right and what I did wrong. And I became a master of my craft in giving presentations. Again, top salesperson always. And it's by reflecting and reading and learning and getting better and sharpening your saw. So the amount of information that I have consumed over this period of time has been monumental. Does that mean that I remember it all? No. It means that I have to keep pulling it in to refresh and bring up those minds, because we're so busy and we have so much information that comes into us. So taking that 60 minutes in those 30-minute increments, and I got to tell you, some mornings I look at my phone and I'm like, I'm only 20 minutes in, but discipline, right? Get through that 30 minutes. It has made a world of difference in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I need to read more is what you're telling me. So, but Janet, just to kind of, wrap up here, or kind of put an umbrella on this whole episode that we're doing, I'll just kind of list off some things and you kind of comment and make sure that I'm listing it correctly. But you said the attributes that lead to your success are the high work ethic, grit, you capitalized grit, and a mindset of doing what others won't. Anything to add on that?
Have fun.
Totally. Everybody needs a little bit more fun in their life, for sure.
You get those butterflies in your stomach about that appointment and meeting that person. And you always have to remember that you're just going to go meet some nice people today, and whatever will be, will be.
Yeah, absolutely. And you also focused on, creating a sellable, valuable business by treating your team as an asset. And avoid just being a top producer, but building those systems and structure for a long-term success.
I have found that has been the key. I found two beautiful women who are college educated. I pay them more than I normally have, but it has just paid me back a multitude of wonderments in the last year. I have two amazing assistants. They're both a year, excited, ready to go, and their premise that I've started them with is getting them licensed, learning a new career, and if I get hit by a bus, they're going to be able to go out and get a job anywhere they want, and that gives value to everything. It makes the day easier.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of stigma around that too, with the new generations. And I completely understand that. And I value what you're saying as well.
Perfect.
And so you also stick to, you're saying to focus on a primary of expertise and avoid spreading yourself too thin by offering, services that aren't central to your business, like Medicare or estate planning or burial, like you mentioned. And the most important thing I think is what you've said is always invest in education and personal growth. So sharpening that saw
You
and just,
bet.
use the small time blocks, 30 minutes for learning and keeping your physical health in check to maintain a competitive edge.
Yep.
Yes. Is there anything else that I missed or anything that you want to share with the listeners before we wrap up here?
I am going through right now, Scott Kiefer, who's out of Pittsburgh. He is a private coach, and I've never had a private coach before. And I am absolutely amazed and excited about the progress that we're about to make. I'm expecting to probably triple my production in the next 3 years, and it's with Scott's aid and help and training. And, he always says, there's 99.9 of the people that you shouldn't listen to in this business. There's a very small amount of the people that actually do understand and do know. And so if you find somebody that's successful, listen to them, emulate them, because it's tried and true. They've already succeeded. So try not to listen to too many people on the outside. Make sure you're on the main track to somebody who's already been successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, would you consider being a coach?
I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be really fun.
I
Yeah.
think you'd be good at it. I
Oh,
do.
thank you, Jack. That's nice. Yeah, it's fun. I love this business. I've been in it longer than I've done anything else. And so it's been an amazing run. I actually when I first started, I had people that were born in the late 1800s, early 1900s. That's how long I've been doing this.
So don't tell me you're retiring anytime soon.
Well, that wouldn't be any fun. Then what would I do?
Well, exactly. So I guess, before we leave, I just want to do something a little fun. But if you weren't in this business, what do you think that you would be doing?
I would probably be a personal trainer. Yeah, I love
I
to work.
love
I
that.
love to work out. I love weights, and so I would think that would probably be my next, thing that I would want to do.
Yeah, you got to get your physical health before you get your mental health and learn and read. So get that physical health first.
Yep, spend some time in there, get a little sweat on.
Well, Janet, it was so much fun having you on this podcast today, and it was great to talk with you and learn from your experience. You have so much knowledge.
Love it. Love it.
All
My
right.
pleasure.
Well, for those listening, if you're ready to take immediate action on anything that you heard in today's episode, call 800-407-4137 to speak with the Vice President of Marketing. And be sure to tune in on the first Tuesday of each month for valuable insights and strategies that can take your financial expertise to the next level. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music, or you can watch the episodes on YouTube. Thank you, Janet.
You're welcome, Jaclyn. Have a great day.